What's up guys, welcome back to Unlimited Reads. My name is Chris and today I'm super excited to share with you yet another book haul. This one has come out of nowhere. I started by buying a few books and then a couple more books. Then things began to snowball very quickly and get out of control. So what I'm left with is this decent stack of books to share with you before I try and attempt to put them away, because I'm very quickly running out of space on these shelves, which I guess it's a good problem to have because it just gives me an excuse to buy some more bookshelves in the near future. Now this video is going to be a little bit different than a standard book haul video because I've got some digital titles to share with you first up, because at the end of last year when I brought my Kindle, I took advantage of the Kindle Unlimited. They had a 3-month deal for $0, which I took advantage of because there are so many good books out there that you can actually borrow and put on your Kindle, and you don't have to return them until you're finished. You get all the time in the world to finish the books, and it's really convenient because it only takes the books back when you cease your subscription. So it's enabled me to get a few titles that I've been after without shelling out the coin for them, and in particular a couple of these titles can be pretty expensive in the physical form. So let's get into the digital books. The first one I'll mention is The House at the End of the World by Dean Koontz. This is his latest release, which I've been looking forward to. It should be a really good read. I'm so much so that I'm planning on perhaps swapping that title with something out of my February TBR. We'll just see how we go, because I've got a train ride for work coming up in the next couple of days. Have to occupy myself with something, and it just looks like the ideal read on public transport. The next book is The Ninth Step by Mark Dawson, the next John Milton thriller, which I'm really looking forward to as well. Recently I finished Headhunters that I reviewed on the channel, and after reading Headhunters, it had been quite a bit of time between books in the series, and after reading Headhunters it just reiterated to me that I need to read a lot more John Milton books, and soon. The next one is Tier 1 by Andrews and Wilson. This is a 2-author team-up who write really good thrillers. I hadn't known much about them until recently. It popped up on my radar that these 2 authors have actually been selected to write a Tom Clancy Jack Ryan book next year. That is super exciting, and what I wanted to do was sample their work before I find out what they've got planned for the series. It looks pretty good from the outset, and you know, it's free. I borrowed it on Kindle Unlimited, so zero risk there. The next one is Strange Frequencies by Richard Clive. These are some short stories, which is the ideal palate cleanser between larger books, and the stories look pretty freaky and scary, and I'm always up for that, so looking forward to that at some stage. And of course I've got Mystery Walk by Robert McCammon. I'm really enjoying his work at the moment. At the time of filming this, I'm currently about 80% through Stinger, which I'm really enjoying, and Mystery Walk is definitely going to be my next McCammon read. It was meant to be read a bit earlier, but books like Mine and Stinger got in the way, but that's not a bad thing either. And finally we have Dissonance Unbound by Nikolai Janella. I think I've pronounced that right. It looks interesting. I don't know much about it apart from it's a fantasy book with a lot of magic, but have to confess guys that it doesn't happen very often where I get hold of a book just for the cover art alone, and sadly this was the case. The cover was just too good and drew me in, and I thought, well look, I'll borrow it. It doesn't cost anything, does it? So there you go, that is it for the digital titles. Alright, let's get into the physical books. I've got a fair stack to get through, so let's start it off with Homeland by R.A. Salvatore. This is the first book in the Legend of Drizzt series, which I've heard nothing but good things about. I plan on reading this very shortly. It's very low commitment. It's only a few hundred pages. But from what I'm hearing about it, it is a kick-ass fantasy series, and I'm thinking once I read this one, I'm going to want to read them all. So we're talking about the first half of the year. I'm definitely going to start this one. Next I've got, you've heard me talk about my experience with the Count of Monte Cristo, where I attempted to read the Robin Buss translation, which is the Penguin Black version, which was so dense it was just crazy. I didn't finish the book. I thought it was too much for me, and just reflecting back, I thought I'm not going to cry defeat or tap out completely. What I wanted to do was get my hands on an abridged version, so that if anyone asks me, have I read the Count of Monte Cristo, I can honestly say I have, just in a shorter form. And I picked up this cute little thing here, which is an abridged version, which there's a bit of glare there, but it's about 600 pages. It's half the length of the Robin Buss edition, which I really struggled with. So hopefully I'll get this finished in the first half of the year. I'm not abandoning it completely, but this is a cute little version, so maybe it will help me finish the thing. Next we've got now, coming up in June, I'm participating in a really cool reading project called June on the Range, where throughout the month of June you just read Western fiction. And I'm going into this with both hands. I'm diving in because in previous reading projects that I've participated in, I've sort of committed, but not fully, because I've actually integrated my own reading with the project, if that makes sense. What I'm doing in June is a little bit different. I'm going all in. I'm not reading anything else but Western fiction for that month. And the author I've selected in the Western genre mainly to read is Louis L'Amour, and more specifically the Sackett family saga, which really intrigues me and is really interesting. So recently I've come across 3 paperbacks of the series. So we have the first book here, which is Sackett's Land, and we have Lonely on the Mountain, and we have Sackett. There's about 17 or 19 books in the whole series. I'm going to see how many of them I can read in the month of June, but there are a couple of other authors I've got lined up as well. There's one by Mark Henry, who is that's the pseudonym for Mark Cameron, who is a contributor to the Jack Ryan series, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, really looking forward to June, and I'm slowly getting my TBR together, so it should be a kick-ass month with lots and lots of reviews, so can't wait. Next we have a little bit of fantasy. Don't know much about this author, Mickey Zucker Rickert. This is The Last of the Renshai, which is looks like a really cool action fantasy series with magic and wizards and all sorts of stuff. Only cost a couple of dollars at a secondhand bookstore, and looked interesting, and I thought I'll snatch it up. We have a couple of horror titles next. We have this one that I found called Panic by Chris Curry. She came up on my radar recently when I got a really nice hard copy of Thunder Road. She hasn't written a lot, but this one intrigued me. You can see here on the spine, it's put out by the New English Library. That's the actual symbol for the New English Library, or NEL, which published Stephen King's earlier works. I just love the retro look of the 80s horror type cover, and it just drew me in straight away and looked like an interesting read, so I snatched it up. The next one is by an author I hadn't previously heard of, and that is October by Stephen Gallagher. This one looked really cool. Again, it's got that 80s look, that retro cover design with, you know, the raised lettering, which is absolutely fantastic, and they're nice to own. And again, this one is put out by the NEL as well, which they were so huge in the 80s, that publishing house. But yeah, looks like a really good read. Can't wait for that one. And we have G.M. Haig's Voices of Evil, which this guy was pretty huge in the 90s. He wrote a couple of other books. I think one of them was called Ghost Beyond Earth, which was really popular. This one looks pretty cool, and I got this for 50 cents from my local library, which was an absolute steal, and yeah, had to get it, just had to pick it up. Alright, now we've got some science fiction next. This one is a series that caught my attention by David Brin, and it's part of the Sundiver series. So these are really nice editions, and I had to pick them up. We've got Infinity Shore, we have Startide Rising, we have Brightness Reef, and we have The Uplift War. Now the only one I'm missing from this set is the first book called Sundiver. I have just ordered that on World of Books, which is a really cool website where you can get secondhand books from the UK and the US and Australia. It didn't cost me too much, I think about $13, and I'm just waiting for it to come in to complete the set, which looks really interesting. When I'll get to it, I just don't know, but it's always nice to accumulate all these books. Alright, next we've got a hard case crime title here, which really captured my attention. It's called Snatch. I just like how they're formatted. It looked like a really interesting noirish story, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get into this one, but it only cost me $2.50 I think from an op shop, so you know, it's in superb condition. No creases to the spine or anything like that. Can't wait for that one. Okay, these next three books I'm going to show you is a trilogy that I've wanted for some time. Ever since the movie The Hunger Games came out way back in 2012, I read the first book and always planned on reading the second and the third books, but I just wanted to get my hands on a decent trilogy, a decent version of it. And there's been all sorts of versions released which aren't that nice, and recently I found the three of them in the format I wanted, which is obviously The Hunger Games, the first one. These are really nice editions, guys. And Catching Fire, and finally Mockingjay. I picked these up for $2 each, I think, and they are in superb condition, and that is the version I wanted of the trilogy, so I'm really happy to have gotten that. Okay, the next book is really cool that I picked up, and that is The Never-Ending Story. I love the movie. I've never read the book. As soon as I saw it, I just had to have it because I'm really interested to see how the book compares to the movie. I always knew there was, you know, a version of this with the movie cover out there, but you know, it's been out of my mind for a while. As soon as I saw it, I just snatched it up and can't wait to read this one. It's probably going to be read sooner rather than later, maybe the first half of this year, but it looks really cool. Can't wait to dive in. Now, next we've got a modern classic here, which I had to get my hands on, and I've wanted it for a little while, and that is American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. It came shrink wrapped with an R-rated warning on it, so the content is pretty explicit, but it's such a revered classic that I had to have it, and it's a really nice version as well. It's the Picador version, which looks really cool, and again, maybe the first half of the year I'll probably squeeze that in. Next we have the first two books in the Michael Connelly's Bosch series, which I'm wanting to sample really soon, and we firstly have the 20th anniversary of The Black Echo, which is a really nice version, and we have the second book, Black Ice, which again, very nice versions. These are the B format covers. You can get them in the A format, but I prefer my fiction mainly in the 3/4 format, which is very good, very comfortable to read, and looking forward to diving into this series, which will be awesome. And finally, these last two books are set in the Jason Bourne universe. Obviously, Robert Ludlum's Jason Bourne series is fantastic, and these books are spin-offs, if you will, with a brand new character who was part of the Treadstone experiment. So the first one we've got is the Treadstone Resurrection, and we have the Treadstone Exile, which look pretty cool. I got them for $2 each from an op shop. The bargains you can find, guys, around the place is sensational. So there you go, guys. That is it for my book haul. Hopefully it's the last one in a little while. I really have to rein things back. I tend to get out of control sometimes, but you do get that. So thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Coming up on the channel, my next video is a tag video, which goes into how I became a Stephen King fan. It's my own original tag, so watch out for that one in the next couple of days. As always, please don't forget to put some feedback in the comments below. Let me know what you think of my book haul, and yeah, until the next video, guys, I'll see you later.